Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and everyone else can just trickle in and join us as they come into the group. I want to introduce myself. My name is Candace Newman. I am the CEO and founder of Live Out Live. Live Out Live is a platform that I was inspired to create in 2019. Sorry. I have a little pup in the background. Live Out Live is a platform that I was inspired to create, inspired by my journey as a Black woman in the live music space. I previously was a tour producer and a booker at at Live Nation for over a decade, and then I transitioned into Live Out Live full time, where I have a touring and booking agency, but I also have a nonprofit, which is the reason why we're all here, and that is to create access and opportunity for Black and Brown young professionals, aspiring young professionals who aspire to be in the live music industry beyond the main stage. We definitely recognize the opportunities that are on the forefront and on the main stage, but there's so many opportunities that are propping a live show up beyond the main stage, including the booking, the marketing, the ticketing, production, and all aspects. And that is what we do. We bring those to the forefront so that you guys can have a better understanding of the infrastructure of the live music business and can really truly aspire to join that industry through my access and my network. And today, part of our network that we brought to you is Mint Talent Group, who is an amazing organization that books talent in the live music space. And I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves, but I just wanted to let you know that we have these sessions in collaboration with the Grammy Museum every fall, every spring. We have another session this month on the 24th, and we have two more sessions in November, so please look out for those. Someone from my team will be dropping some information in the chat, and I encourage you guys to fully engage in this session because these professionals are here to mentor, guide, and support your future trajectory into this space. So please lean in. And I'm going to pass it over to Patrick, who is our moderator, for him to kick things off and pass the mic to the rest of the team, who's going to be sharing best practices, more about their journey, and more information about what they do.
Perfect. Thank you, Candace. My name is Patrick McAuliff. I'm an agent at Mint Talent Group. Mint Talent Group started back in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic. During that time, we saw a lot of live music obviously not happening because of all the shutdowns from COVID. And a lot of agencies were going through some really difficult times due to no income stream. And there was a lot of agents that were kind of, laid off or let go, along with staffs. I came from a company called Paradigm that basically laid off half their staff during the first month of the shutdown. And there was an opportunity to see a bunch of independents come back very strong. And so what we've done is we've focused on bringing back a strong independent music agency, along with a number of other agencies that popped up since 2020 as well. And we, started with about 10 people, and we've got 31 on staff now, and we keep growing. Our roster is about 225 bands. It ranges anywhere from R&B to reggae to indie to Latin to pop to rock to southern to jam. We're all over the place. My experience, I came from, I started in the agency world at this independent company in Chicago and Monterey called Monterey International. And from there, we got acquired by Paradigm, which I worked with them until the pandemic hit, and that's when I came over to Mint Talent Group. I will pass it over to Cassie, and she can give you a little intro on herself.
Hey everyone, I'm Cassie. I have also been a part of the Mint team since we first announced in September of 2020. I was always a performer growing up in my life, but I knew that when it was time to go to college, I didn't want that avenue. I never wanted to be like the rock star, I said. I'd rather like help the rock stars. So I went to music school at the University of Miami in Florida. I studied music business, but also vocal performance. While I was there, I'm in Denver, Colorado. I would come home in the summers and I interned for AAG Live in Denver. I also knew after I graduated, I wanted to be back in Denver, which is fairly limiting when also wanting to work in the music industry. So I did my research to find what opportunities were out there, and I found a boutique agency that was based in, or is based in Boulder, Colorado, called Madison House. And I got a role 3 months after I graduated there, sort of just through my internship and everything. We can navigate that path sort of later in the discussion, but found my role through my internship. I started as an executive assistant and within a few years was starting to book my own bands. I was with Madison House from 2009 to June 30th of 2020. And then started conversations with Patrick and Phil and CJ on joining the Mint team. And I think I was one of 8 original team members on our first Zoom calls for Mint. But I am a senior booking agent over here at Mint Talent Group.
Michael, do you want to jump in and introduce yourself?
Hey, crew. What's up, everybody? My name is Michael Morris. My background in the live music business, it started in college. I was a student promoter at the University of Missouri. And I was literally buying shows. I had a student activities budget. I don't know if those exist anymore, that I had to spend, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I was making offers to agents that are still in the business that I deal with now. And all my friends were running security at the shows, and it was a nightmare. But somehow the shows happened, and I learned a lot. And I learned enough to know that I wanted to be in the live music business. So shortly after college, I got a job doing marketing promotions for an outdoor amphitheater in the San Francisco East Bay. I did that for, I think, 4 or 5 years and kind of learned the building side of things, the promoter side of things, the marketing side of things, but decided that my role was really to be on the artist side of things. I was living in San Francisco. I made a change. I got a job at a small boutique agency that I knew from the amphitheater. I was lucky enough that I was given artists and accounts basically right away, and I was able to kind of launch my career and just start building my own roster from there. I was there for about a decade. I moved to a mid-sized independent agency. I moved to Chicago. That agency was acquired by a large corporate conglomerate. That's where I met Patrick's and we worked together there. And then COVID hit, yes, and we all kind of stopped in our tracks and had to reevaluate where we were at, what we wanted to do. I became one of the founding agents at Mint. It was a natural discussion with Patrick and others. We were kind of all in a similar space and similar work ethic and similar approach to how a booking agency should operate. So yes, that was launched in fall 2020. And I definitely feel like I've got a master's degree in, dealing with the small independent agency, the mid-size independent, and the corporate conglomerate. And I can tell you the situation I'm in now is by far the best. But that brings us to today, and I live in outside of Austin, Texas. work from home, and also head up the performing arts department at Mint. And that's my story. I will pass it to if you have the same screen I do. Isabel's right there.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us. I'm Isabel, and I kind of puppeteer all things marketing at Mint, tour marketing, that is, and any other marketing services that our clients may need. My background is mostly on the promoter side, similar to a lot of people here, kind of just, well, I went to music school, same thing, didn't want to be a singer. Really enjoyed spending a lot of time in venues and watching rock and roll. And so I started just by hanging up posters around my college campus in order to receive tickets to go to shows. And from there, scanned tickets at a club, worked in a box office, kind of just tried everything out. Several internships later, my first job out of college was working for Converse, or Chuck Taylor, the sneaker company, working in global music marketing, where we ran a recording studio program for what we call, I guess, in the industry, baby bands, or like emerging artists throughout different regions. And then after that, I moved to San Francisco and worked in a venue there, booking the venue, marketing all of the shows, and running night of show operations. So settling up all the shows, paying out the artists, staffing the club, kind of doing all the things. And then I worked for Golden Voice AEG for 3.5 years in the San Francisco Bay Area, marketing shows at the club level, and then amphitheater arena level, as well as the festivals in the Bay Area. And then from there, when the pandemic hit and Mint was opening up, got an opportunity to move over to the agency side and work on tour marketing for all of our clients. So that's kind of broad overview of my background, but I work in all things marketing here at Mint. Back to you, Patrick.
Perfect. Well, let's kind of talk about the day-to-day role of an agent. We wear a lot of different hats, and we work hand in hand with the artists, with the management team, with the promoters, to help, put tours together, to put individual shows together. I'll pass it over to Michael to talk about kind of the booking process from the agent side.
Yeah, I mean, there are many different ways and avenues that a show can be booked. And I will say that every artist is different, from their needs to their profile, to their production, etc. But just kind of taking a broad overview. I mean, ideally for me, it starts with a conversation with the artist and or their management about what is upcoming, whether that's a new album, a new project, or whatever the case may be. And then a discussion about, what's appropriate, what are the targets, what are the regions, where do we need to hit? And basically taking that information, it's literally, you're starting with an open calendar. You may do some like target routing on the calendar before you start reaching out. But it's normally just outreach to a purchaser, and a purchaser can also be called a buyer, a promoter, a talent buyer. They're all interchangeable names if you hear, different names for that. But it's outreach via phone or email, and there's selling involved, or maybe not, depending on the artist. But I generally like to update any buyer or purchaser I'm talking to with what's new, what's coming, to put because the artists hire us to put them in the best light possible, so that we can present to them either ideally options, different venues, festivals, places to play, maybe different offers from competing buyers, so that we can put together a tour. And those buyers basically, if they're interested and they have the availability, we solicit offers. So they send us written offers that include the who, what, when, where, how much. We collect those offers. Sometimes they're ready to present, sometimes they generate more questions. But once they're ready to present to the artist or the artist management, whatever the case may be, we do that. We have discussions about it. If there's any further counter proposal or not, we have those discussions as well back with the purchaser. And then ultimately, hopefully we get to a confirmation where we get to an agreed upon date or dates, agreed upon fee level, agreed upon deal structure. And then from there, we confirm the shows, contracts are issued, and then it kind of gets turned over to the artist and the purchaser marketing team to move forward with the announce and on sale. There's a full ticket sales campaign, and then hopefully, our job as the agent is over long before the show plays, unless there's a problem or a question related to the deal. So that in a nutshell is kind of how we go from a blank calendar to putting dates on the books. And like I said, that's a very simplified version of many things and different ways to do it. Some things are very easy. Some things take a lot of back and forth. It's just part of the business. So I hope that provides a little bit of a proper explanation.
Yeah, and I also think it's really important to remember there's all artists at different stages of their career. You have your developing artists, you have, artists in the middle of their career, artists that are, wanting to start, bring down the amount of shows they're playing per year. So it's really building out a calendar, like Michael said, is super important to have that communication with the artist and the management team to really know where they're at. If you're chasing, if it's a developing band, if you're chasing support tours, and developing that kind of touring base help from supporting other shows. And with those situations, you're negotiating terms with other agents internally at your agency or potentially at other agencies in the country. And then there's also, like Michael said, just the regular like headlining, negotiating that for just individual shows, or that if you're jumping on having them, play at a festival, you're dealing with the festival promoters. And then it comes down to negotiation with all those different type of buyers, which Cassie, you want to talk about some of the negotiations that you've done over your time with these?
Yeah. So there's like a lot of like agent terms being thrown around for sure. So like routing is literally taking, like, hopefully management will come to you or the artist will come to you and say, hey, we want a tour. Here's the time frame we're looking at. And hopefully they're able to narrow it down to like, 6 weeks or 4 weeks, or we only want to do 2 weeks and we only want to do 4 days. But they supply you with that information and they say in 6 weeks, we want to route from home, and say home is New York City, and we want to route all the way across the country and end in LA. And we want to do it in 6 weeks. Quick turnaround. So routing is we take days and we look at a map and we look at all of the connecting cities from where they want to start to where they want to end. And hopefully we can land important markets on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe some more like connecting markets, which we usually call secondary and tertiary, on the like Wednesdays, Tuesdays, Sundays, let's take off Mondays. But really, like, we could sit here and be like, oh, in New York City, I'm going to shoot out and I'm going to hit Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and then I'm going to hit Pittsburgh, and then I'll hit Cleveland. Like we've been doing this for long enough that like I have dreams of like maps and the cities and the drive times. But you want to be mindful of drive times for the bands. You want to be mindful of what markets are good for them. Sometimes like I said, we throw on that term like secondary or tertiary. It's not necessarily like a slam on the city. It's usually just based on capacity. I mean, sorry, capacity, population. And so like, you know, a primary city would be like New York or Boston or Chicago or Denver, Los Angeles, San Francisco. But okay, so yeah, so you're looking at these cities and then you want to go, let's we'll just say we're like a mid-tier band that is going to play like a 750 cap venue. As you are in this, you learn what those venues are and who the contacts are. Sometimes you're going straight to the person that works for the venue at the venue. And sometimes say you have like a genre, like Patrick and I work pretty heavily in the reggae space. Maybe there's a reggae promoter in that market that is able to go into the venue that's appropriate for you, but they just have a better understanding of the reggae genre, or a deeper database of people that attend reggae shows. That's the person you want to work with. So you go to them and you say, hey, I'm going to be in your market, and I want to hold this 750 cap venue. And here's the date range. Holds, you literally are holding the date for you to potentially land your show at that venue. If I'm the first person to go to the promoter and say I want to hold those dates, then I get a first hold. If I'm the seventh person who's come to them and wants to get a hold on the date, then I'm a seventh hold. And that's sort of the beginning of like the negotiations. So you get the hold and then you want to get your offer. The offer is basically the entire outline of how this show is going to play out. You're determining the ticket price, you're determining the amount of money that you're going to hopefully make when you walk in or when you walk out after you've played. And then you're going to look at the buyer's expenses for the show, and you're going to hopefully try to figure out if there's wiggle room or what you can squeeze in. Like my headliner is going to bring this support act. A support act is the band that plays before the headliner. These are all little negotiations that you work with the buyer in order to get the perfect package for your band to go into that venue. There's different deal structures that you can also negotiate. That's like a much more in-depth conversation. But if you're headlining a venue, there's sort of three options that you can go with, although sometimes a venue is just, they don't do anything except for a door deal, which is what you would basically, it's a percentage of ticket sales that you make, or they only offer you a guarantee plus what we call back end, but it's like bonuses based on ticket sales, or a versus deal, which is a guarantee or a percentage of the door, whichever is higher. This is very broad. There's like a lot more that goes to these deals that make them like a little more complex and multi-layered for you to understand. But you want to go through that. And also, if you have a mid-tier band, you hopefully have history in the market, and you can come to them and say, we're coming in on a record cycle. We got this publicity in the last year. Here are things that all come into play. Oh, we also sold out the 500 cap last time, or the 250 cap last time, or whatever it is. And this is all stuff that comes into your negotiation to get the best deal you can possibly get for your artist. And then you'll do that from market to market. A lot of times you'll want to get different options. So like if you're in like a tertiary market, it's probably a smaller city or town. Maybe there's just one venue option. So you're probably just going to that one venue option. If you're in LA, you're going to get, you know, 2 or 3 options. Or, you know, I don't know, maybe you talk to a promoter and you say, I want to look at these 2 rooms. And then you can like look at the deals and see which is a more optimal deal for your artist in Los Angeles. Once you have all of that compiled, you look at your holds and you sort of start to fit the markets in on the dates that you want that help you drive closer and closer to your final destination. And then you challenge your holds. This is like a lot. So I can imagine there's questions. You will challenge your holds. So like say, remember I said maybe I'm the 7th person that went to the venue. I have to go to the promoter and say, I know I'm the 7th hold, but I really want this date. It's my date. I need to challenge everyone else who's holding below me. So then the promoter will go to those people and say, hey, your hold is challenged. Do you want to take it or do you want to release it? So then that person can say, no, I don't need it. It's not my target. Hopefully all of them will say that. And then you can confirm your show. But if someone who is like the 3rd hold is like, no, that's my target. I need that show. I need a challenge. Then they'll challenge that date. You've lost it. You need to find a new date at that venue. But obviously, the more you build partnerships, the more that promoter will maybe help you wiggle your way through those 7 holds, and they'll help find somebody else a new date for their band to play. And then you like whittle through all the confirmations, and then hopefully you have a very nicely laid out tour to present to your artist. It's not always that easy. It's very much like a puzzle, and a lot of agents sit in front of maps. Some old school agents like will actually have a map on their wall. A lot of other agents will just live on Google Maps. But we just live in front of maps, and we're like constantly sort of like putting these like cities and markets into drivable distances for artists to go out and play on tours. But yeah, I think that covers everything on the routing side and the negotiations. It's a very abridged version of what we do.
And we do obviously a majority of our work is live booking. But there's also other negotiations that we do as well when it comes to like brands, or if it's commercials, or potentially acting. There's other offers that we'll bring in for our clients, where it could be, you know, having their music in commercials, or they're actually, you know, going to a brand and, you know, recording a video placement on socials or on actual TV. So there's other negotiations that we do beyond just the live, but we do a ton of live booking, which is the bulk of our work. So once the show's confirmed, and then it's about setting up the announcement of these shows, and that's when Isabel with marketing comes in. And Isabel, you want to take the floor?
Sure. So yeah, like Patrick said, marketing is step 2 to this very lengthy process. While you guys are describing it, I'm like, how is it not easier to book a show than 7 holds and 100 million negotiations? But anyway, here we are. So the shows are booked and done, and a Michael, Cassie, or Patrick will come to myself and my teammate Bailey and say, okay, we're done. Go work with management and figure out how to announce these shows, probably in a more concise, organized fashion. We collaborate very heavily on the agent side with when to announce shows, and when talking about specific clients, what our marketing initiatives are for that specific client when we go to announce a tour. So on our end, we gather things like artwork, any promotional videos. So all of those ads that you see out there on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram story, Google, everywhere. We talk about those on our end and make sure that we have enough promotional material to deliver to our promoters to make sure that they can successfully promote the show. The worst thing that we could do on our end is give them absolutely nothing to sell tickets to their show. So we work really hard to make sure they have all the tools in their toolbox in order to sell tickets. So on our end, we put together the announce and on sale plan, meaning when we want to announce the show and when we want to put the show on sale. Generally, that's a 4-day window or 5 days. ChatGPT, good question. We can get to that. It's a 4-day window, but depending on the genre of music, we kind of mix and match that window, just because, like, for example, reggae, we like to go with announce and on sale on the same day sometimes, just depending on the artist, but announcing a show with a 4-day window, just meaning like giving yourself 4 days within the marketing cycle, tends to be important, at least I think so, to make sure that fans are aware of the show and then they're aware of when tickets are actually available to purchase. It also allows us to have these like teasing moments in the marketing phases, meaning pre-sales. So like, I'm sure you've seen a lot of your favorite artists say, register here for an exclusive pre-sale code. That's their way of grabbing your email address so that they can make sure to tell you about every time they're coming through your city to let you know that they'll be there and that you can attend their show. So we talk a lot about announce and on sale plans with that lens in mind, meaning like, how can we engage fans and make sure that the artist has an opportunity to gather first party data that they can own? Something we also talk a lot about is that anytime you buy a ticket, the artist doesn't necessarily have access to that information, or they're not available, or sorry, those emails or phone numbers are not available to the artist to then tell their fans, or I guess remarket to their fans down the line. So we try and take the announce and on sale opportunity to gather that type of first party data. So once we've announced the show, we think about the marketing cycle on the tour marketing side as announce and on sale, maintenance, and closing. And those general timelines are, again, announce and on sale, which generally is like, I would say rule of thumb is at least 3 months away from the actual show date. So announce and on sale 3 months away. I would say maintenance is like, if it was a 3-month window, 1 month to 2 months away, and then closing is like 14 days before the show. And our team works with promoters pretty heavily within all of those phases to make sure that we're pushing the show. And how we do that is we have internal systems where we gather ticket counts and we're able to see how many tickets we're selling in each market. And from there, we can collaborate with management, the agents, and our team to make sure that we're working as a team with the promoters to help sell those tickets. And within that is mostly digital, because we live in a digital age. So you as young people know that most of what we do today is on socials. So we're either helping figure out how to run ads on socials. We are collaborating with managers and labels occasionally on radio targets. So figuring out which stations in each city are either spinning the artist or have played the artist before, so that we can reach out to them and have them either give away tickets, or we could buy spots on that specific station. So we're working with generally labels and also management teams on what the radio priorities are. And then there's also like grassroots marketing that we still focus on. But the marketing landscape kind of changes every day, and on every artist is different based on genre. So I think like if it were, I don't know, say it's hip hop versus reggae versus an indie band, we would structure those marketing plans a little bit differently. So from there, we obviously send everything out to the promoters, gather their marketing plans and ad plans, and then from there work with them in each cycle of marketing. Again, a very broad overview, and I think I, mixed a lot of that into one thing. But if there are any questions during the Q&A, we can. there are a few coming in, and maybe I don't know if I should answer them now or if we can.
Yeah, you could go ahead and respond. I like
Okay.
those 2 questions that came in.
Chat GPT, something that everyone loves talking about. We don't use Chat GPT for things like gathering assets and all of that, just because it's always changing, especially if an artist is on an album cycle, meaning they're releasing an album and then they're helping push that album into a touring cycle. All of their assets will generally change. So like press shots, bios, promo assets that we're supposed to filter out to different promoters. The only thing I would say we use Chat GPT for is like cross referencing, like copy that we're writing for socials, or maybe like organizing information in a better way. Again, I don't know how much I trust it still, so I'm not the best person to talk about Chat GPT, but it is a good question. I think for efficiency purposes and organizing information quickly, definitely helpful, but I'm trying not to rely upon it for like all of my thoughts and things around marketing, just because like eventually I just won't have a job, so that terrifies me. Let's see, is your business affected or will it be by the recent issues with Ticketmaster? Maybe you guys can touch on that one. I'll skip over that one just for now, and maybe we can touch on it. What software are you using to capture emails and numbers online? That one I love. There's a few different ones that we utilize on the artist side, which I'm sure once I toss out these names, you'll recognize it when you go to put in your email or phone number. Lalo is a really popular one amongst artists right now, and that one's mostly SMS capture, meaning you put in your phone number, and then when the artist has something they want to tell you about, you'll receive a text message from them, whether it's like a pre-sale code or they're releasing a new song, or I don't know, maybe it's a new merch drop, something like that. Lalo, and then Seated is another one that artists primarily use in order to capture email and SMS. Those are my 2 favorite ones right now. And I think it's great. We obviously talk so much about SMS marketing because the open rates with SMS are far higher than email, but we also talk a lot about email because having a person's email address is gold because you can retarget them on socials. So for retargeting purposes, still very valuable. And, you know, likelihood of a fan opening their favorite artist email, still pretty high, but we are focusing on all of the things now. What else? More important to get SMS than email? Yeah, good question. Equally as important, and we could go on for that for days. But I think
why don't we touch on some more of the programs that we're doing internally?
Oh yeah.
And if we want to stay with you about like, we can talk about like the fan club that we run in-house.
Yes.
And then we can jump to the other programs.
Yeah, I would say 2 things we're super focused on, which has been an awesome blessing coming over from the promoter side, working with agents that are excited to try new things and kind of branch out a little bit more in order to benefit our clients, is one, the fan club program, which allows our artists to keep ticket buyer data. So without getting too in the weeds with how these types of structures work, essentially with specific ticketing companies, they allow each promoter to allow an artist to sell a percentage of tickets off platform. And what that means is selling tickets that they are not in contract, selling tickets on a platform that they are not in contract with. Stop me if you guys have a better way of explaining this. Okay. And the incentive for that for our artists is just so that they can keep the buyer data. And we can also place the artist pixel on those ticketing pages and retarget people down the line with that pixel. Whereas on the promoter end, we aren't able to place the artist pixel on the ticketing site, and we do not get to retain the email addresses of the ticket buyers that buy on the promoter's ticketing service. And so we have created a program for our artists to be able to capture that data and retarget to their fans down the line. And we run all of that in-house through the marketing team. And we take a percentage and sell it on our preferred ticketing partners platform. and then in turn deliver that data back to the artist. And that includes like any fancy pre-sales we want to run, all integrated into a timeline that we wrap up and kind of deliver back to management for approval. And then we also talk a lot about marketing buyouts. I think it's important on our end to make sure that our artists have a little bit of autonomy when it comes to running their own media. I think with COVID, it's been interesting to see the difference in how our promoter promotes. I think like before COVID, there were, again, those like strict announce it on sale, maintenance, and closing phases that were implemented across the board. And now we're seeing a little bit more of, okay, we're going to promote the show when it goes out on sale. We're kind of going to like wait and see what happens for the next 3 months. And then 14 days away from the show, we're really going to hit hard and spend that money. So with marketing buyouts, what that means is the agents will go in and pre-negotiate a dollar amount that's then put back into the artist's pocket, that we then help kind of come up with these media plans, and what would make the most sense and what would be the best use case for that budget. That's different for every artist, but generally we will collaborate with management on creating assets and running across, I guess, like those national campaigns are run on TikTok. We do a lot of Google display and search. So like anytime you type in an artist name and you are in, say, New York, making sure that that show will pop up at the top of Google when you search it. And then Google display are just like flashing banners that you've seen on the side of websites. And again, just like the standard run across socials, like Instagram story, TikTok, sometimes Snapchat, IGS. I feel like I'm missing some, but I'm sure all of you, I could learn a lot from all of you. So if you have any recommendations on where we should be running more ads, please let me know. But yeah, those are two of the larger things that we're focused on, which all essentially have the same goal in mind, which is just making sure that we're helping our artists grow their first party data, and that they have a little bit more control over how to promote their shows. That's not to say that we want to take that responsibility off of the promoter's plate, because obviously they're very good at what they do. And we like strongly believe at Mint that like we work as a team and collaborate and don't want to point fingers in any specific directions. But it is just nice to be able to have a little bit more control over budgets and when you can push shows harder, if that makes any sense. But yeah.
And it's really one of the core things that we do at Mint too, is just kind of being very hands-on and, really trying to help sell tickets, and make sure our artists are getting pushed from all sides, not just the promoter and management team. Another program we're really proud of is the women's mentorship program. Cassie, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So basically when I joined Mint, I wanted to make sure that we were leaders in offering a platform for women who are either in the industry or want to be in the industry, to sort of like have a place to come and learn and ask questions. I didn't really know what that program was going to look like. I hadn't really learned of one prior to ours. Although now I know of many more, but so we sort of, it's still like getting better and changing, but we also were doing it remotely. So we thought there would be two great ways to handle this. We have like a large umbrella program where we've done actually Zoom calls very similar to this, covering different parts of the music industry. So we've had just one where we have a chat with internal Mint team members to sort of just have like a conversation of how to get your foot in the door and what it is to like have an entry level position, which would probably be something that would be really interesting to a lot of people on this call. We've had other ones with women who are promoters, women who are managers, women who are tour managers and more on the production end. And then what am I missing? Oh, other agents, other female agents. And they've been really interesting. We've had like 50 to 75 people on every panel. But then we have a more focused program, which is a one-on-one program. So it's a lot smaller. We usually accept 3 to 4 women to do this. You spend 2 weeks having one-on-one conversations in sort of like each of the little like sections of Mint. So you'll have 2 weeks with Lindsay and I, who are agents. You'll have a 2-week window with the associate teams. And then you'll have a 2-week window with Isabel and her teammate Bailey. This is a great opportunity for people to ask questions, but also not just questions on like booking and how to be an agent, but also just what is it like to be a woman and to grow in the industry or get your foot in the door in the industry. We've developed really interesting relationships with all of the women that we've had on our program. We've also been able to help place some of these women into jobs, not even just jobs within the industry. Like we helped a gal get a job at Google. She just wanted to she was in the industry and then it just wasn't right for her given the pandemic. And we helped read her resume and cover letter. And we also helped another girl post-graduation get a job in marketing at a promotional company in Madison, Wisconsin. And she's still there after I think like 2 years. So it's been really interesting. And it's been a great outreach for just us to do things outside of booking and marketing. And actually we have a lot of people, I think we have a couple who we've actually hired to Mint from the program.
Yeah, we've hired a couple people.
Yeah. And there's a tab on our website where you can sort of like apply. Oh, I think is just put it in the chat. There's some more information on it. And you can apply. There's like, I think 2 umbrella, like apply to like group A or group B or something like that. Anyways, just click both and you'll get emails with information and then you can sort of figure out what you want to do from there. Isabel does help me like spearhead everything. And then Lindsay, who's also on our team, is also very active in the mentorship program. It did sort of have a lull. I had a baby. I'm back. We are hopefully doing an information Zoom in the next like 2 months, probably before the holidays. And then hopefully going to open up applications. Actually, you can apply now. We'll get your application, but we'll be looking at applications if you're interested on the one-on-one experience for winter 2024. But yeah, if you go in, apply, or click more information, you'll get emails and you'll be able to get more information. We can also stay in touch with Candace to help provide further details there.
All right, so we got about 10 minutes left. Let's start the Q&A part. Isabel, do you want to?
Yeah, I think I don't know what would be the easiest. I guess maybe raising hands and then unmuting yourselves. I'd love to see like faces instead of chat.
Yeah, so let's raise hands and then Isabel, based on the hand raises, you can call on people. They can come on camera, they can ask their questions directly to you, and then you go ahead and answer.
Cool. Justin, we'll start with you since you popped up first. Uh-oh, you're muted.
Okay, sorry.
There he is.
Technical difficulties.
No worries.
So I have a reggae band in California called Cali Conscious. I've been since 2010. I've been the social media guy, the marketing guy, the manager, the booking agent. I've done everything for the band. I'm still like, we got into Cali Vibes in 2020, and we have a 9-piece band. We got paid $200 to play the festival. So that was like the biggest show in the local scene, and it was like, okay, well that doesn't make a lot of sense. So what's like, what are we shooting for in terms of compensation? Like with we've been playing 14 years here in the scene. We've got a good local scene, but when you're trying to get into a festival like that, you play a bigger show, because we've gotten paid $10,000 for corporate events. So when you're in the festival scene, it seems like, okay, well, you should be happy you're playing just because you're on the bill, but that doesn't make sense in terms of paying all the members, who are playing in all these other bands that we get together. So just in terms of commission wise, what are you shooting for when you're playing?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the situation, the band, and everything else. But I would say if you're making whatever you are locally in that market, you should probably be making the same thing minimum on your festival plays too. So if you're headlining a venue in town and you're making, $2,000, then try to get $2,000 for the festival too.
Last weekend, there was 1,000 people there at a beer festival, and we got 2,500. That's like a 3,500, 4,000, 5,000. It's like our normal thing, but how do we negotiate that, I guess? Or is that where you need a...
Well, I mean, yeah, that's, you got to talk to the promoter and tell them this is what we're doing. These are the numbers we're doing. This is why it justifies to pay us this amount of money. And that's, really the power you have is the numbers you are bringing to the table. And then also, if they don't pay you what you want, then don't play the show.
Yeah. I mean, I will also add that if you're talking festivals specifically, obviously there's a limited number of slots and everybody wants them. So unlike a club that's doing 300 dates a year or whatever, there's a ton of competition, and there's more competition every year for festival slots as there's new bands. So you kind of also have to decide, the reason why everybody wants them, because you can play in front of a lot more people than you normally can on your own. So then it becomes a way of like, is this an investment in our draw in the future? Is it good for us to be on a bill with stick figure for the next 6 months on a festival bill? And then I think you kind of have to weigh, like, is this really something we want to make money on, or do we just want to cover expenses and hopefully build our career? Having said that, it's still not a given. Festivals need to sell a lot of tickets, and they typically are booking acts that either have current buzz or ticket history. But a lot of people will give priority to local and regional acts if you can show that you're worthy and that you have a draw. So you just need to hammer that stuff home.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks for your question.
Thanks. William, do you want to hop in?
Yeah. Do booking agents book shows and concerts? Because I've seen booking agents before. I've heard of them.
That is exactly at the root of what we do. Yes. Myself, Cassie, and Patrick are all booking agents. And at the end of the day, we are hired by artists to represent them and book them tour dates, live event dates. That is the definition of a booking agent. Yep.
Thanks, William. Steve.
Okay. I guess I have 2 questions. First question is that I've been seeing a lot is that artists that have no following are now, I guess the promoters are just charging these artists just a flat fee to pay. Are you seeing that more in the industry, or is that, I mean, I understand if we hire a booking agent, we got to sell tickets and all that. I totally understand that. But I'm seeing now that these artists, that a lot of these promoters are just charging a flat fee. Are you seeing that more in the industry now? That's the first question. Then the second question is just for marketing, Isabel. I was going to ask you about do you guys have any partnerships with like Spotify or any of these other people that help promote on those type of platforms? Because I mean, I know the marketing, you can go ahead and pay for marketing through like, social media and all that kind of stuff, or Google ads. But do you guys have like any partnerships with like Spotify or those type of platforms where they put you on there? And those are my two questions.
I can take the first one. If you're the headliner, then no, we're not seeing more flat fees. Really never try to confirm a show with a flat fee if you're the headliner. If you're the support act, sure, a flat fee would make sense there, or a festival or something like that. But no, we have not seen an uptick in any flat deals. And then Isabel, you want to talk about Spotify partnership?
Yeah. We do have artist partnerships with Spotify. Same goes with, I saw there was a Bands in Town and Songkick question. We of course cover all of those bases for our artists. Bands in Town, they have like a more in-depth artist relations team that we can reach out to and talk to about potential opportunities for reaching different buckets of fans. And then same with Spotify, there's a process for submitting for pre-sale opportunities with Spotify. So if you've ever received an email that says a special thank you from an artist, that would be usually facilitated by an agency reaching out and submitting for what they call Spotify pre-sale. Within the platform itself, which is sometimes people are unaware of this, but all of the dates that exist on Songkick filter into Spotify. So we always reiterate to our clients that it's super important to keep those dates updated. Otherwise, a lot of your live dates will not show up within the Spotify platform. And they are prioritizing more and more the live space. So I'm sure you've kind of poked around and seen that there's like shows in your area button and kind of just more top placement within the app on mobile, and then also the desktop app, I guess, also an app. But yes, the answer to your question is yes, we do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bunny, I saw you had your hand raised, so I want to give you an opportunity to chat if you would like to, but I don't know if.
Hello.
Sure.
He kind of touched on the question that I was going to ask about the whole pay to play that seems to be what's popping now. Like, for example, I put on an amazing show. Yes, to toot my own horn, I put on an amazing show. I only have like 10,000 monthly listeners on Spotify and 44,000 on TikTok, which is like big apples kind of, because I've only been doing this for 2 years. But I reach out to these places and I'm like, I would like to open up for la la la, and they're like, okay, cool. Sell 40 tickets. You don't get any of that money, but then you can go on for 3 minutes. Yeah. And it's like frustrating. Would you happen, oh, I know. Are there any promoters nationally or regionally that y'all work with, or like know that they're legit people and they're not scammers? That might be
What genre are you performing in?
So I am we're calling it Black alternative. So it's not rap, it's not rock and roll. It's like if Rico Nasty was Megan Thee Stallion. So we're twerking and headbanging at the same time.
I will say that I've had a lot of hip hop artists, and you do see that a lot in the hip hop space. And it's like kind of it's not kind of, it's like a super old school way of thinking of doing things, is like, as the promoter, you're going to reap the benefits from having someone on the local space on the ground selling tickets, but then not give them any sort of cut. I would just say that, like, I would look at the Like if you're in LA, I would look at the venues and the artists that you like that are playing those venues, and hopefully you should find like a promoter that feels more legitimate. But then in your own negotiations, I would say you should look for a percentage of the tickets that you sell. Like we call that like a pulled door almost. Like if you're selling the tickets, you should make say the tickets are $20, you should make like $5 per ticket or whatever. But that should definitely be a part of your conversation when they hand you tickets to sell.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your question, Bunny. We have time for another 2 more questions. And then out of respect for Mint Talent Group's time, we're going to jump. But I encourage you guys all to reach out to the participants today. Hopefully they're willing to help support any other questions beyond today's session. But we can go ahead and move on to the next question. Go ahead, Isabel. Sorry.
Yes, we definitely are. So please reach out, and we're always down to chat and love meeting new folks. So please, anytime. And Sierra, do you want to chat real quick? She's muted. Maybe I can unmute you somehow.
Hello, can you hear me?
There we go. Perfect.
Awesome. Hi, so I came in a little late. My apologies if this has been mentioned, but yeah, I guess just in general terms, like I feel like I've been calling in, I've been doing my own booking and everything for the last 4 years now and have come a long way, and definitely a lot of festival play, getting on more lineups and stuff, but I'm wanting to tap in more to like some of the bigger local venues. I live in San Diego, and also connecting into like, yeah, supporting roles for bigger.
Music.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, I guess, like the best way, what would the best way to connect with a booking agent or a promoter, you know, in alignment with like what it is that I'm doing?
Well, I can help a little bit with that. I mean, there's, again, multiple ways that artists get on, get support slots or get support tours. One, probably the most effective in my experience is artist to artist. So if you have any existing artist relationships that are appropriate, you know, personal and or professional, that you can make sure you know if they are a larger profile than you, and if they're an act that has support, that you make it, I would not be afraid to make it known to them that, you know, you'd love to open for them, you're available, and just see if you can utilize some existing relationships. The other way is depending on the level of the show. A lot of clubs, like 500 and less, those acts are not necessarily carrying support. So it is good if you're in San Diego, for example, like for Belly Up, to just make sure you have a relationship with the bookers there. And specifically, if there's a booker that isn't, you know, more responsible for booking the support acts. And I think it is watching their calendars and periodically checking in if you see something either pop up that you want to ask if there's a support opportunity available, or just, you know, without over being annoying or over hitting people up, just making sure that you're developing those local and regional relationship with the club buyers around you. The other way too is, and this is, you know, a little bit more of a shot in the dark, is to reach out to agents and managers. Most artists do have some sort of professional business representation now listed on their websites. So it's not always the most effective way about getting support, but you can always reach out to artists and managers if their information is public and ask about something that you saw specifically posted in your local area. But I think first and foremost is staying in touch with any artist relationships you have with larger artists and or your local talent buyers.
I also just wanted to tag on to that. It was a question that was in the group chat as well. Generally speaking, your body of your email and your subject line are crucial parts of your communication. You're trying to communicate with people who sit on email all day. Like, I don't wake up and have 10 emails in my inbox. I wake up and I have 150 emails in my inbox. Like, I have tens of thousands of emails in my trash. So, like, I would be very thoughtful in how you present yourself in your subject line. And I would not give me your life story in the body of the email. I would be, here's my name, this is what I'm looking to do, and here's how I add value. And I think that's also how you should communicate and be mindful of communication if you're trying to be an agent or a manager, and represent your client well. But yeah, like, don't just like be like, I want to open, and then give your life story. Like, say your name, the show, and the date, and then say opening slot. That way somebody knows exactly what you're reaching out for. But email communication and clarity and specificity is crucial.
That's great insight, Cassie. Thank you for sharing that.
Should we take the last question from Raquel?
Yeah, why not? This will be the last question.
Hello, I want to thank you ladies and the whole team for Mint for giving us your time today. I'm working as a booking agent / manager with two artists that you might know about, one of them, but Demetrius Graham, he used to be on American Idol, and I'm working with Jimmy Witherspoon, which was a idol for jazz and blues. I'm working with his son, Lucky Witherspoon. Great artist. I'm kind of new to management on this level. And I just kind of wanted to get some insight on what's the best practices when it comes to find buyers to book for shows. Because one of the big things issues that I'm experiencing, is just trying to get them booked. Because the genre of the type of music is like, they have like Jimmy, like Lucky Witherspoon. He also has a band that he's performs with. So he's more on the like R&B, soul, jazz. So we're looking for specific venues and, places where the crowd can appreciate his work and his music. So I just kind of wanted to get some insight on what's the easiest way to get, buyers and get them booked for festivals and things like that.
Well, I think the hardest thing to do is getting the correct contact informations, especially when you're looking at specific venues. And I think that can be solved by, being subscribing to like the Polestars or Celebrity Access, things like that actually have those buyers' contact information. And then it's just about, when I first started booking, you don't get a lot of responses.
Right.
So you got to be persistent, and you got to be, if it's something that's important to the artist and to you to get done, just figuring out a way to break through, to get a response, to get on the phone, what avenue you can try to make contact. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Because once you start that relationship and that's a network, you'll have that forever, but it's about breaking that seal. But getting the correct information is the toughest thing. And I would say, look to those subscription places like Polestar or Celebrity Access to grab them.
Are you able to maybe leave that in the chat, or someone can type that in so I can click on it and go find out about how to subscribe to those type of
one's just polestarpro.com, or it's just Polestar Celebrity Access.
Oh, Cassie's done it. Awesome. Yeah, what's so interesting is I don't know if you guys are big fans of football, but Lucky Witherspoon is the late son of Jimmy Witherspoon, which was if you know about blues and jazz and that type of soul music, straight legend. Now his son is playing for the LA Rams, number 44. Check him out. Look out for him. Kello Witherspoon. But it's just great talent, and they both are great singers. So trying to emerge artists who are actually athletes too, is kind of what I'm looking forward to doing. Because, artists are kind of like multi-talented, but to be in full-blown football player and be able to sing R&B at the same time is a unique trait. And I just kind of wanted to, utilize just all of those talents to kind of, promote them. And so, yeah, I'm super excited to join the programs that you guys talked about today. And I would love to collaborate and maybe even, from here, send over information about my artists, because I know you guys will love their music. Thank you again for your time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions and your engagement. And thank you to Mint Talent Group for your time and your expertise and your willingness to be mentors for today. I'm going to give you guys just the last seconds to close out, maybe share where they can locate everyone. I know everyone's familiar with LinkedIn. I encourage you all to track them down, stalk them on LinkedIn. But if there are direct ways that they can reach you besides the website link for the program that you shared, feel free to share that now, and then we will dismiss everyone. And so thank you guys so much. I'll turn it over to the Mint Talent Group.
Yeah, thanks for everyone for jumping on. On our about page also lists us and our email addresses too, if you want to reach out there as well. That's about all I got. Anything else you guys want to share before we part?
We have an internship program. You can also look up information on the internship program as well.
Yes, and we post all of our openings here at Mint for future opportunities within the company on Instagram. So if you want to follow us there, that's a great place to find out more about the company and reach out there as well. We're active on socials, so feel free to hit us up there. That's it.
Yeah, don't be afraid to. There were a lot of questions here we didn't get to, so feel free to drop us any or all of us a note, and we'll try to do our best.
Oh, and the last thing that we forgot to mention is Roster is a new celebrity access Polestar type of database for the music industry. And they recently created a industry job board that is fantastic. And yes, Cassie just threw it in there. It's kind of like, I don't know, one of the more robust ones that we've seen of just like general, like nitty-gritty industry open roles, anywhere from entry level to senior level. So I think that's an awesome resource for anyone looking to enter into the music industry, just to kind of see what's out there and what type of roles there are within the industry as well. So Cassie shared it there. It's rostr.com for open roles as well.
I actually think that's the wrong roster. Hold on.
Oh, is it?
No, that's correct.
I thought it was right.
It's pulling up a relationship app.
Oh, roster.com. It's a music industry dating app. Okay, I'm done.
Luckily, I'm not working for Roster in this advertising.
Yeah.
You would know if you were, but
Yeah.
Thank you all for Mint Talent Group. Thank you to the Grammy Museum for the platform and for the opportunity. And thank you all for showing up today. We'll see you in 2 weeks at our next session. Stand by. See you later. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Quick question. What about that internship? How can I find out more about that?
That is also on Mint's website. So
Awesome.
It's in the careers section on the website.
Thank you so much, Isabel.
Yeah.
Again, I
Michael?
appreciate your time.
No worries.
Did you have
Thank
something
you.
else, Michael, before we wrapped up?
Oh, there we go.
Nope.
Bailey just threw it
We're
in.
good.
All right. Awesome.
Bye, Al.
Bailey.
See y'all.
Bye.
Blessings. Bye.
Bye.